Graham Norton, he's got a new novel called A Keeper. It's in bookstores now. Of course, his amazing show, The Graham Norton Show, on demand at bbcamerica.com. Who hasn't seen that show or heard about Graham Norton? I can't believe it. Hi, welcome to my show.
Oh, such a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
I mean, if anyone's going to love a show like yours, it's me. I fucking love it.
Oh, that's so kind of you. That's really nice of you. It's so weird. It's so weird that because we never think of people in America watching it, because we make it in the UK for a UK audience. And then I get here and fabulous people like you say nice things.
Well, you're really good at what you do. I will give you that. And watching celebrities act drunk and sleep deprived from jet lag is awesome. Which we're going to get into that later because I do want to zero in on your book, the new novel, A Keeper, in bookstores now. I love that you wrote a novel. Why a novel?
I'd always wanted to write one. And when I turned 50, I thought, you know what? I don't want to be one of those people who goes, oh, I'd love to play the piano. Just learn. So I thought, stop talking about this book, write one. So I got myself a book deal. I mean, to any authors out there, I'm sorry. It's awful. It is awful that bloke off the television can just go, hi, I'd really like to write a novel. And they let me. But so it's gratifying that the novels have been published here where, I don't have that profile. So here they're being published as books, I
love it.
And I really enjoyed it. And the books aren't, I think, if you have watched my show or know anything about me, the books aren't what you expect. They're not funny. They're not set in media. They're not in London. None of those things. They're quite... they're sort of romantic, but kind of darkly romantic, and they're set in Ireland, which is a place, I grew up in Ireland, so that's a world I know, and so that's why I kind of chose that area. And this book that's out now, A Keeper, it's very twisty and turny, because I like a story. I read all the time, and I love a beautifully composed sentence. Oh yeah, nice, great metaphor. But I want a plot. I want to know why I'm reading this thing, and so this book, it has that's the thing I'm proudest about is the story. I think the plot's really good.
Now, is this a story that you've been working on for a while, or did you wait for the deal to happen and then get creative?
I sort of waited for the deal to happen because they didn't know what they were getting. So the first press release was, Graham Norton brings his comedies, blah, blah, blah. And then they read some of the book and they were like, Graham Norton's darkly comic novel, blah, blah, blah. And then they read all of the book and they were like, Graham Norton's novel. They dropped any mention of comedy. So the stories, the two books I've published so far are both stories that I've got through my mother. So this one, A Keeper, was the kind of starting off point was a friend of my mother's daughter years ago in the 70s. She did what one of the characters in this book does. She replied to one of the Lonely Hearts ads, in a newspaper.
Of course.
And so, dating now, it's, you flick right and it's quick. Back then, you had to write letters. You corresponded. Before you ever met the person, you were probably a month into this thing.
Wow.
So you were quite committed before even a first date. So the big first kind of reveal in the book where you discover the letters aren't quite what they seem, that really happened to this friend of my mother's. And actually her story went in a really hideous direction, and I thought, well, I want this to be an entertainment, so mine goes in a slightly gothic way. So it's sort of Irish gothic light, I'd describe it as.
Oh my God, I absolutely love that, being Irish myself.
Of course, McCarthy, yeah.
But I love that you took something though that was real and then made it your own.
Well, I think, because I maybe it's an Irish thing, maybe it's the same with you, but I love hearing other people's stories. I don't need to know them. I don't need to know who they are, nothing. I just want to hear your story. It could be about your cousin's neighbor who lives in Uganda. I'm in. Tell me about the problems with this fencing. So
And the Irish can really tell a story, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, and we don't care. It's like birdsong. We'll just talk. We don't we do not care. So I think growing up, I just heard endless stories. So hopefully there's more. Yeah.
I'm still trying to tangle my Thanksgiving and Christmas, stories throughout the years of my aunts and uncles who were priests and nuns, because that was pretty much all of them. and drunks, by the way. But like, what was true, what wasn't true, and the craziest things. I'm like, how could all of this happen to our family? Were we really horse thieves, Mom, back in the day?
You know it's all true. You know it's all true. You've been to Ireland, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So you know that thing. When you're driving along with a relative or walking with a relative, every house you pass, they will have a story about the people in that house. The terrible thing that happened, the scandal, the secret, it's every single house. It's too much. In a novel, you have to drive past a lot of those houses. You can't stop at every house. You've got to just focus on one house.
It's so true. I'm so excited to read this. It's like the perfect time in my life. I'm like, we need a new novel. And then boom, a keeper just shows up. So I'm going to absolutely finish it and let you know what I think. Oh,
great. Oh, good.
I want to get into your show because that's something I've watched so much of. And you've been doing it for how long? And I know you've had so many renditions, and you remind me of me because I've had the Jenny McCarthy Show called Jenny's McCarthy Show. But,
so, yeah, in the various forms, I've been doing it for, I think, 21 years now.
21 years. And you did mention in an interview that you do want to kind of retire while on top. Is that still true? Like you would end the show? Or is that just...
Well, now, so I talk about retirement a lot, and then people in the UK go, oh, you're going to retire. So I think, having observed friends of mine who've stopped working, it doesn't seem like a great thing to do.
No, it doesn't.
I've seen friends of mine stop working, and then they just... What's odd is, when you stop working, you become a teenage girl. You start obsessing about minutia. It's crazy, the things that you fill your mind with stuff, nonsense about, well, I can't believe they said that. Oh, what an odd way to finish your conversation.
It's very gossipy, right?
Yeah.
Seniors that gossip.
Yeah, all of that. So I don't want to turn into that person. So I think what I might try to do is just cut back on my workload. I think we're on air right now 35, 36 weeks a year. So if I cut that down, maybe lob 10 weeks off it or something, then I think that would be ideal. Then I'd be able to, stare at a wall, write a book, walk the dogs.
Writing a book is still something you can continue to do, and it's so therapeutic, isn't it? I love when I finish a book and I'm like, these pages were empty at one point, and I filled this whole book.
Yeah. No, it is a lovely feeling. It is a kind of a weird. I remember with the first novel, I was so happy, but I forgot to type the end, which was the thing I was so looking forward to, and then at the end I forgot. I forgot to write the end.
And do you, with titles, I always am worried that I'm not going to figure out a title, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and say it out loud. It just happens. Like I'll be halfway through the book, 3/4 of the way through, and it'll come to me. Do you start with the title? End with the title?
No. The titles have been, well, actually, A Keeper. That's what I was calling it all along. And I kept thinking, someone at the publishing house will change this. They won't call it A Keeper. But no, they liked it. So it went, because the first book had many, many, many titles before it came up with Holding. And I'm writing the third one now, and it doesn't have a title yet. So I'm hoping for my middle of the night moment.
Right, that it will come to you.
Yeah.
With your show, what is the secret besides you being so good at what you do? Do you think the alcohol has something to do with it? I mean, it definitely worked when I was doing my VH1 show because I wound up marrying my guest who I got drunk. But
wow, you beat me. I haven't done that yet.
He's pretty awesome.
I've never slept with a guest. Never slept with a guest. No.
This was my first one also, truth be told. My first one, and I gave him my phone number, which I had not done before, and I wound up marrying. But for you, when I watched the show, do you think it helps loosen the guests up, but do you think it also helps by having the three celebrities together? There's less pressure to perform, they're more casual.
Well, it's funny you say that. I think in a way there's more pressure because you're sitting with your peers. Like, if they're just talking to me, they don't care. Who cares what that guy thinks? I'm out of here. But actually, I might run into Helen Mirren again, or I might see, Paul Rudd or Tom Hanks. So you want to entertain them. That's what I think. I think that's one of the elements because, the wanting to be liked gene, the showing off gene, these are strong in actors. So I think they want the other people on the couch to think they're an interesting,
They're
funny,
cool too.
Yeah, they're a good, interesting, funny guy.
I always found it so fascinating how nervous celebrities, actors get before interviews. Like they're nervous to show their authentic self, I think, because they're wanting to match the perception of who the public thinks they are.
I find actors being nervous so annoying. Yes. Like, you know that thing kind of like, oh, I was so nervous. I was vomiting in the wings. I needed a bucket in the wings before I could go on stage. I was so nervous. Like, you're in the wrong job. Do you know what I mean? If a bus driver is afraid of his bus, get a new job. Like,
pilot.
Just don't do that. So I have no patience with actors being nervous. I just think, oh, shut up. You know, no one's... Okay, don't go on. See if I care. We'll all go home. I just, nerves annoy me.
And is there any, like, what do you do when a publicist says, because we get this sometimes, like, don't mention this?
I don't. If I'm told not to mention it, again, I don't care. You know, like, oh, they don't want you to talk about they're dating so-and-so. It's like, I didn't know they were dating that person, and I have zero interest in their love life. You know.
I do love that you say you're like, I'm not an interrogator. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm not that guy. I'm there to facilitate you telling some funny stories and talking about your movie or your book or whatever. That's not my job. You know, people say, you know, if I have someone like Tom Cruise on, they're kind of like, oh, did you ask him about Scientology? Da, 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 da. Like, no, of course I didn't, because I'd like him to come back. You know, and he's an interesting one where he doesn't say don't talk about anything. He comes in and you can ask him anything. But he knows that his cachet as a star is still high enough that I don't want to piss him off.
That's right.
I want to keep him happy. And also, what am I going to get? Like, I'm not going to get. He's not going to go, Graham, I'm so glad you asked me. Let me tell you everything.
How I became clear. Let me just tell you how.
Yeah.
And you're right. And I do love what you mentioned about Tom Cruise, because I'd mentioned it before. I got to go to his wedding.
Oh, wow.
I've gotten to know him a little bit through an ex, and he is, and I know you said this before, he is one of the most delightful people in person that you'll ever meet. He has this an electric niceness and some type of big energy that makes you feel no matter who you are. It could be my sister who he doesn't know, or anyone, to make them feel just as important.
Oh, he does a thing on the show. I don't know if you've seen him do this, where when he gets to the studio, he gets out of the car and he'll be introduced. Oh, this is, Catherine. She's the line producer. This is Pete. He was the researcher you talked to on the phone. This is blah, 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 who's going to be taking care of your wardrobe. This is blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I can't even remember their names now, and I work with them.
Right.
So... So he says hello to all those people. An hour and a half later, when he's leaving, he shakes all their hands and goes, Catherine, thank you. Great job with the line producing. Pete, beautifully researched. Da, 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 da. And it makes those people feel fantastic. They are on a Tom Cruise high for a week.
Exactly.
And it's a kind of clearly it's a trick. Clearly it's a learned thing, but I haven't bothered to learn it. Have you?
Who cares?
You know,
No.
So I just think exactly what you're saying. I think that there's something about him, that there's a generosity about him, that he has this specialness, but he shines his light on other people.
Right.
And he makes you, when you're in that beam, you feel fantastic.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's why I'm like, is Scientology working? It's working for him, all I know.
Well, no, exactly. He's the best ad there is. Yeah.
It's so true. I know I only have a little bit of time with you left. Worst guest wise, obviously, I'm not going to make you name anyone. What do you do? What is your tool when you have someone that's just sucking balls on your show?
Oh, God. Luckily, you see, I've got the other people. So long as they're not disruptive. If they're disruptive, then that is a bore. Yeah.
The new novel, A Keeper, it's in bookstores now. I can't wait to read this. I'm so happy for you and proud of you. I'd love anyone that just dives into something and says, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Oh, Jenny, thank you so much. I think it's amazing. I was 52. I'm a debut novelist at 52. And, I never thought I'd be a debut anything at 52. It's,
See?
it's all good.
I get it. I took up sewing, and I'm like, who the fuck is taking up sewing at 45? Like, who do you think you are? So it's proof that you could do anything. Graham Norton, what a pleasure. I hope I get to be on your show sometime. Congratulations on your success.
Anytime.
Thank you. We'll be right back, guys.
Jenny McCarthy Show. Oh!